Hey, welcome to this video. I am so excited to be with you. It is very long time since I actually did a video like this and just came out with some teaching and sharing something with you like this. I think it's maybe 1.5 months ago. I have since last time I did a video like this been in Brazil, I've been in Colombia. I've been busy with many things. A few days ago I did a Zoom call with a lot of ministers and pastors in America. Yesterday I was in Cancun, Mexico, where I spoke at a leader conference first to a lot of pastors, and then I spoke on an outward event. And here you can see a little video from yesterday where you can see there was a lot of people. It was outdoor meeting in that sense, and it was beautiful. It was amazing yesterday. But I want to talk about something. I have seen a shift happen in my ministry and what I've been doing, especially after jail and now being in Mexico. I'm working a lot with a lot of pastors and ministers and help to see them reform and transform their churches. That was also what the Zoom call was about the other day, and hopefully we will publish it next week, so you have opportunity to see the Zoom call and join next time we go in when we do a Zoom call. One of the things I start with, and this is why I want to do this video, I call it Let's Be Honest. We need to start there. We need to start with being honest when it comes to our life and when it comes to the churches we attend. Today, when I record this video, it is a Sunday. Millions of people are going to church every Sunday. Millions of people are going to church today. Maybe you're one of them. The place we go to celebrate Christ and be together is very different from place to place. Some will go to small churches, some will go to house churches, some will go to larger churches, some will go to mega churches. And every place is different. And it's important we come together. It's very important we have fellowship. We are not called to be a disciple alone. We cannot walk this life alone. We are part of a body. But what I want to do is I want to talk about the church. I want to talk about what is coming out of the coming together. And there is good things everywhere. And I'm not here to point finger and say everything is bad. Every place there is good things. But we need to be honest with ourselves. And we need to be honest and ask ourselves, are we really doing what God have called us to? Or are we just coming together and become a social club? Or are we just having a good time? Is it just like coming together, singing Kumbaya and say we are the church? Or are we doing what Christ have called us to do? Are we really the church? And there's many things I want to talk about. When I talk about being honest, let's take a little time and then look at our churches. And that was what I started with in the Zoom call the other day. And there I always start with this. When we talk about being honest and look at our churches, let's look the right place. Let's not just look at the church building. We often think, oh, we are good church. Why? Because we have a big building. Jesus did not have a building. His disciples and the early church transformed the world without buildings like that. So having a big building is not what to look for. Let's look at how many people we are. If we are many people in our church, we are doing good. But it's actually even not about how many people we are. Jesus did not get a big crowd of people as we often do it today, but he still transformed the world the way he did it. What about economy? Hey, we have a good economy, therefore we are doing good. No, Jesus also did without that, and the early church did without that, and still, as I said, it transformed the world. What about activities? We have a good program set up. We have the Sunday school, we have kids program, we have a lot of activities during the week. That mean that we are good church. No, activities also don't do it in itself. I don't say it's wrong. I don't say it's wrong to have a building. I don't say it's wrong to have many people. I don't say it's wrong to have activities. I don't say it's wrong to have a good economy. I don't say that it's wrong, but in itself, that is not what we should look at. We should look at the people. And we should look at how they grow up to Christ, how they obey Christ in everyday life. There we are talking not about Sunday, mornings, but we are talking about what do the youth in the churches do Friday evening. What do people talk about over the coffee table Wednesday afternoon? How do people obey Christ in their everyday life bearing fruit? And there's a few things I want to bring up there we start with. If we need to be honest, let's start to look at it. Holiness, let's start there. Those people in our fellowship, do they become holy as our Father is holy? Are they being sanctified? Are they becoming the pure bride of Christ, putting off the old life and taking on the new? Are they being transformed in the mind and divorced from this world and what comes with that to be married with Christ when he returns? Are they becoming free from sin, walking in the new life we read about in Romans 6? Or are they remaining as sinners? Are they remaining as people who are bound to sin, who Sunday after Sunday go to altar call and confess the same sin again and again and again? Is there fruit of the Spirit in their life, or is it a deed of the flesh we read about in Galatians? This is one thing we need to start looking at. So when you go to church on Sundays, look at the people. How do they live? What is their life? And then if we don't see that holiness happening, if we don't see that sanctification happening, then we need to change something. We need to do things different. This is the first place. And it's not only to look at the church, of course, it's look at your life first. Start with your life and then look at the church. So that is one place we need to look and be honest. And as a church leader and ministry planner, there was a time in my life when we were doing a church plant. And I thought, whoa, we really have a good church here. We have an amazing church here. People are living holy life and it's beautiful and I love it. A few years later, one guy from our church, I met him again and I talked with him, and that was years later where I moved to another place. And I said, oh, we really had a good church and people had the fear of God in their life and it was beautiful. And he said, no, Torben. I said, what? No. Yeah, come on, we are living holy and it was a beautiful fellowship. No. I said, what do you mean? Torben, you don't know what was going on. They're only holy on Sundays when you were there and you were looking. It was not the fear of God they had, it was more the fear of Torben. And I was preaching holiness at that time, and it's important, but I was doing it in a way where people fear more me and want to look good in my eyes than in God's eyes. And they only pretend to be holy and look holy on Sundays, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was very, very different. And it was hard, it hurt, it was shocking to realize that what I thought I had, I did not have. But you know, it's a good place to start, because that is where change can happen. And I start to change the way I was preaching, the way I was doing it. And now, years after, we are seeing much more fruit and very different fruit. We see a new standard of people. But I'm very proud of, we have seen many young couples get married, and when they get married, it's first time they kiss each other. Now you may kiss your bride. Now. They don't go too far. They don't start kissing, touching, and doing crazy things before they're married. Why? Because that person they're engaged with, going to be married, is not theirs yet. It's still a sister in the Lord or brother in the Lord. They belong to the same Father, a God in heaven. And we are not allowed to touch and do all things with them because we are not one yet. But now, you are allowed to kiss your bride and even do more things what belong to the marriage covenant. And it happens because people want purity. It happens from their heart. It's not a law. It's not something that they become like, hey, it looked good, but the real life is something else. No, it's come from the heart. A new standard, holiness. We want to be like our Father, and there's a transformation that is happening. So that is one place to look, and start there. Look at the fruit of people's life. Another place, and this is connected with that, of course, is the sound doctrine that leads to the fear of God. Do people have a holy fear of God in their life? And that is so important. How do people view God? Is it just Abba Father, and in a way where there is no holiness, there is no God is a consuming fire? Or is it only, fear of God, holiness, and there is no Abba Father? And that is the thing, the teaching we are given to that bring a good balance in our life. And we need to look at that. And what I see is that there's some churches only about Abba Father, and there's other churches only about the fear of God, and there's no balance. Another place we need to look at is ministry. We are called to do ministry, all of us. We are called to grow up to maturity. You know, the Bible says you should all be teachers by now, but you need somebody to come and teach you the element truth in the Gospels. We should all be teachers by now. Do people come in a church and remain babes, remain in a state where they need somebody to teach them Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, never really growing up? And there is a time where people need milk. They need other people to feed them because they cannot eat themselves. But that time should be few years, a short time, and then you grow up and now you are those who teach other people. And we need to look at our churches and also our life. Are we doing church in a way where we let people remain as babies, where they never really grow up? And I often say there, if I meet people who have like, hey, I've been in this church for 30 years and very proud of it, I will look at them and say, okay, but the only thing is time to move on. Like, do you really need somebody to teach you Sunday after Sunday and keep teaching you? You should have your own church by now. You should be growing up by now, having your own disciples, and not just coming and listen to somebody doing the teaching. And it's like in the real life. If people in the real life are 40 years old and live with mom and dad, you will look at them and say, get a life, grow up, get a wife, get children, become a man, take responsibility for your life. You are not a young man or baby anymore. You should be an adult now. Why? Because when we get kids in the natural, the whole purpose is for them to grow up and become mature and be not dependent on our earthly father and mom, but be dependent on our Father in heaven. And they leave mom and dad and they get the spouse and then they get the children and then it repeats itself. We need to be honest there. Do we make church a way where we let people remain as babies? Remain as young ones in the faith, or do they truly learn to grow up to maturity? And that is a place we need to look. And there was a time I did church, and I did it very different. And I kept making people depend on me, and they keep being fed. Depend on me instead of really depend on God. And after a short time with me, they were released into their own ministry. And now, by doing this, we don't have like a big church like other people, but we have raised up many ministers, many leaders. And this is what we need to do. We need to start there. Another area is, when we talk about ministry, is we are all called to do ministries. Like, do people learn to preach the gospel? Do they learn to heal the sick, to cast out demons? Do they learn to go out and find the purse of peace, as we read in Luke 10, and lead people to God? And then after they have baptized in water and lay hands on them and they receive the Holy Spirit, they make disciples and grow them up. Do we teach people to do that, or is ministry only for the few? And sadly, many places we have created a culture where there's a few who do the ministry and there's many who is watching. Many who sitting and looking at the few doing the ministry, and they never themselves step into ministry. What I shared here is just a few questions that is good to ask, and there's many, many more questions that is good to ask. I have worked with many churches. I'm working with many churches right now. And there's many good things, many places. I'm not coming here and say everything is bad, but we can do better. I can do better. And we need to come with that attitude that we need to be honest, looking at our life first. It starts with us. Do I have a healthy fear of God in my life? Do I live holy? Do I become sanctified so one day I can be glorified? Do I grow up and become mature in Christ? Do I do ministry? Or do I remain as a sinner going to church and going to the same altar call, confessing the same sin week after week without really being free from sin? Do I just sit here passive and need somebody to feed me? Do I step into ministry, or do I become one who just look at other people do ministry? If you are there as a person, then do something about it, change. Start with being honest and then ask yourself, what do I need to do to change those things? And if you're not honest and if you don't decide to change, you will remain there forever and deceiving yourself, because this is not the life God has called us to. Are you a minister? Are you a pastor? Do you have a ministry? Look at yourself. I had a time in my life. The change happened first in my personal life. I've been a Christian 6 years, and I looked at my life and I did not see that fruit. I did not see what I was supposed to do. And I decided I need to change. I fasted, I prayed, I did what needed to be done, and what happened? I saw change in my life. And then I was doing ministry. But after years of doing ministry, I did the same one more time. I started to look back at my ministry. What was the fruit? I went to churches and many accepted Jesus, but when I came back 2 months later, there was no fruit, there was no transformation, they were not there anymore. And I looked at it and thought, I can do better than that. That is not what God had called me to do. And then I changed. I let the word change me. I surrendered to God and said, God, what can I do to change? And yesterday when I was in Cancun, I met some people I met last time I was there. And last time I was there was one woman especially who got set free. She got filled with the Holy Spirit. She got baptized. She had been in church for many, many years. She got set free. She's now back in Canada where she come from. And yesterday I heard they said, hey, do you remember that woman you baptized last time you were here out beside with the boats? Yes, I remember her. She is totally changed. She's totally transformed. She's back in Canada right now, and she is just going for it. She's doing ministry. Life are being changed. People are being healed and set free and coming to Christ. And she is a total different person doing ministry. And then they continue. And we just 2 days ago, we baptized 5 new age people who just came to faith. And they were so excited telling about the fruit that were coming out of their life. And it was beautiful fruit. I didn't see that years ago. Why? Because I did it different. Now we are seeing it. I want to encourage you, use this Sunday when you go to church, and stop up and be honest. You as a person, be honest, look at your life, change. You who are pastor, you who's on ministry, look at your churches. What are we building? What are we doing? And then change. And this is what it is. And I've worked with several churches here in Mexico, and one of the pastors said the other day, Torben, I've seen more baptized the last month than I've seen the last 5 years. I like that. That is a good place to start. So God bless you. Hope this video spoke to you. And if we don't stop up, if we are not honest, if we don't evaluate ourselves, evaluate our ministry, evaluate our churches, we'll just keep doing what we always done, and then we will never see the transformation Christ have for all of us. God bless you. Have a good day. Start there. I'll put some links in together with this video where you can find good places to start to see transformation. God bless you. Bye-bye.